Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. If this is the first video of mine that you've ever seen, then welcome. Come on in. My name is Milli. I make videos just like this 3 times a week on a Monday, Wednesday and a Friday. And if you are watching this on the day that this video is coming out, tomorrow is my 2nd wedding anniversary. Should have been my 3rd. But COVID happened, so it will be my 2nd wedding anniversary. Now, I did my own makeup for my wedding, and every year since then I've done a video going over the products that I would use, the look that I would do if I was getting married this year. So that's exactly what we're doing today. And this year it's quite different because last year and the year before, when I did actually get married, I was not cruelty free. I was using all of the products on the market. Now the amount of products that I can choose from is very much less than it has been in previous years. So this is a really good idea of basically all of my favourite products and the routine that I would do to create the look that I absolutely love. It's going to be pretty much the same look, but these are different products, a few different techniques, etc, etc. So let's just dive straight on in. On my wedding day I started with my eyes, and I would absolutely do the same thing. Just, I like the feeling of like cleaning it up, like cleaning up under the eyes and then going on to the base for something that's a little bit more fancy. If it's just like an everyday, then I don't really mind either way. But if it's something a little bit fancy, and let's face it, your wedding is going to be, this is the way that I would do it. So I started with this product. I will say some of the products are the same, some of them are different, but some of them are the same, and this one is the same. It's the Collection Lasting Perfection Stretch Concealer and Eyeshadow Primer. I have this in the shade 4 Extra Fair, and I'm just going to take a fluffy brush and take a really little bit of this and pop it onto the inner corner of my eyes, and I'm going to start brightening up around the eyes. Like I say, I'm going to clean up underneath, but I just want this little bit of brightness in here so that I can balance out my whole face. This is almost like an underpainting sort of technique, but I'm not doing like the full shebang. I'm just going in with the concealer at first, just to brighten right in there, because ultimately I will be taking like eyeshadow and things up here, so I want that to be covered. So I'm just taking a really small amount and like working it in, and then I'm going to go in with an eye primer. This is an extra step that I didn't do. This is the Beauty Bay eye base. I have this in the shade 2. I'm going to put some of this across the eyelids, and I'm just going to use the same brush because why not? I'm just going to tap this all out. I will just apologise whilst I'm blending this out. I will just apologise if you can hear the fan that I've got in my room at the minute. It is so hot in here. Like, it's been, I don't even know how hot today. I have waited all day to film this video, and I mean, I don't even know what time it is. It's 6:15 in the evening and I am still so hot, so I've got a fan on me just down there, so if you can hear that, I'm sorry. It is an essential today, and like every day for the last month. So that's the eye primer all tapped in, and I'm going to quickly just do my brows. When I say quickly, I mean quickly for you, because I'm going to go off and do them because it will take me like 20 minutes. And I'm using 3 different products, not the same products that I used on my actual wedding day, but similar technique. So I'm going in with the e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil. This is in neutral brown. This isn't a precise pencil. This is basically just to block out the colour sort of pencil. So I'm going to do that one first, and then I'm going in with the Catrice Eyebrow Stylist in 025 Perfect Brown. This one is a sharpenable pencil, so I can do the tiny little hair-like strokes, and this is darker, so I can like get those hair-like strokes and make the brow as dark as I want it to be, whilst I've still got the colour from the e.l.f. pencil, and then the e.l.f. Wow Brow in brunette. I was about to say brown. It's definitely in brunette. I use this every single day. So I'm going to go off, do my brows, and then we'll be back to do the eyes. Okay, brows are on. I have just tapped over the eyelids again, just to get rid of the creasing in that eye primer, and now we can go on to the eyeshadow. Now, I have been thinking for a while what eyeshadow palette I would use for my wedding day look, like if I was getting married this year. And I knew that it would be a Beauty Bay palette because I just love the formulas so much. But I was like, none of the colours quite felt right. Obviously I've got blue eyes, so I like to have those like warm orangey brown tones, and I was like, the neutral palette isn't quite right. I've got a 9 pan of the nude, that still didn't feel quite right. It was a little bit not really what I was looking for. And then they came out with this and I was like, this is perfect. When I tested this palette, I've got a full swatching testing review on this palette, I was like, this could be my wedding makeup. So I'm basically just going to be recreating the same look. Honestly, that video was like 2 weeks ago, so I can't remember what shades I used, but it's basically going to be a warm brown orangey sort of a smoky eye. These colours are wedding for me. Obviously I love these tones, but you can just use like the lighter ones if you want something a bit lighter. I like something quite smoky, so I'm going to go in with a fluffy brush and I'm going to dip into Organza, this shade here, and I'm just going to get a little hand mirror so that I don't have to keep lifting up that massive palette, and I'm just going to make sure that that's not creased yet. I'm just going to work this into the crease. So then with the same brush I'm going to just dip into Mascarpone, which is another matte again, and I'm just going to tap that sort of over the inner part of the crease, just to make sure that it's firstly really nice and blended, but I don't want it to get too dark, so I'm just adding a little bit of that brightness onto the inner corner. Then I'm going to go in with a really small like blending brush and I'm going to go into Maple, which is this one, can you see? This one up here, like a burnt orangey sort of a colour, and I'm going to do the same thing but sort of keep it a little bit further down, further onto the eyelid, not blend it out as far. Then with the same very small brush I'm going to just go right onto the end of the brush, so I'm getting even less product, being even more precise with it. I'm going to go into, I'll go into Cocoa, this one here, and like I say I'm just getting that right on the very end of the brush, and I'm going to just stamp this on the outer corner of the eye, and then I will blend it into the oranges that we've already got down. So I'm just going in with that first brush to blend out the that darkest brown that I've put on the outer corner, and so far I'm so happy with how all of this is looking. We've got the warmth still from like the first two colours, but then it is starting to get dark and smoky as well. So I'm going to go in with a big clean fluffy brush. I'm going to dip into Camel, which is this like warm yellowy nudie shade. I'm just going to get a really little bit of that. I'm going to just blend over all of this just to keep it really nice and warm. I'm using a big brush so that it blends everything together, and I'm like taking it right out here. Obviously all of this will be cleaned up in a moment. And then at this stage I can assess, do I want more? Do I want like darker on the outer corner? I think I probably do. So like I say, I want to go quite dark and quite smoky, so I'm going back in with that really small fluffy brush and I'm going to dip into Mahogany, this one here, again quite a small amount, and I'm going to just stamp this on the outer corner as well, and I'm just making sure that all of this is blended really seamlessly like across the lid. So I'm not actually going to be putting any shadow across here. I've got something else for that, if you know what I'm going to use next, but I'm just making sure that it's really blended across this section here, and I think I'm happy with that. I'm happy with how dark it is on the outer corner, but it's still really nice and light on the inner corner. So for the next step, I'm taking another clean, fluffy brush and I'm going in with this here, and I bought a new one because I looked at mine and it was all dry, but this is absolutely what I would use. You could just leave this as matte, of course you could. I am not that gal. I am a sparkle, glitter on everything kind of a gal. So this is the e.l.f. liquid glitter eyeshadow in Flirty Birdy, and I recently saw Brianna Fox do a look with this and she used it in a different way than what I did. So I've not done this technique before, but I think it's going to work out for how I want this to look. So what I did when I used this for my actual wedding day, I took the little applicator and I painted it onto my eye. Now I loved how that looked. Like I say, I want glitter on everything, but when I saw Brianna Fox using this product, she used it in a different way, and I'm very, very interested to see if I will like the finish of this. If not, I can just do that afterwards. But she took a fluffy brush and she got the product onto the fluffy brush, and then she like dispersed the glitter a lot more with the brush. So let's see how this looks. I need my mirror. So it does make it a lot more subtle doing it like that. I'm sure I can build it up though. So I'm gonna carry on with this technique, I think. Like I say, I can always do another layer, which I probably will. I love glitter. So I have just layered up a second layer of that Flirty Birdy. It's so hot in here, I'm like coming out in a heat rash. But can you see how incredible that liquid glitter looks? It's so sparkly, but then also I feel like it's quite subtle, like because it's just that gold and silver reflect. It's nothing too out there. Like I say, I actually wore this on my wedding day and I would absolutely wear this every single day. I love this liquid glitter so much. So I'm going to just clean up under the eyes. I've got some micellar water on a cotton pad and I'm going to clean up out here. I'm not worried about fallout necessarily. I don't feel like I really get any with this palette, but I did blend freely, so I just need to sharpen that up on the outer corner. And then again, at this stage, if I feel like I need more depth on the outer corner, I can add it now. I'm quite happy with how that looks. So I am going to go in with a wing where I put my liquid liner. Obviously the Profusion Everlasting Waterproof Liquid Liner. This will last through absolutely anything. If you're worried about crying, if you're worried about, you know, the heat maybe melting your makeup a little bit, this will last through it all. This is the most incredible liquid liner. Absolutely, hands down, would use this. So I'm going to just go off and do my wing because I can't concentrate whilst I do this. Or rather, I can't talk and concentrate at the same time. That's what I meant. So, be right back when I've got a wing on. So that's the liner done. Now, if it was actually my wedding day, I would do a little bit more research into a waterproof mascara. As it is not actually my wedding day, I have done zero research into waterproof mascara, so I'm just going to go in with this one, which is my current favourite, the Milani Highly Rated Anti-Gravity Mascara. I don't even know if they do a waterproof version of this, I'm not sure, but this is the one that I'm using today. I would say if you're doing your own makeup for your wedding day, it's definitely worth finding a mascara that works for you, that gives you the look that you want. I am going to be going in with lashes in a minute, but mascara is like the thing, you know. I feel like that's what I would spend a lot of time researching. The one that I actually used, I'm not going to recommend because it's not cruelty free, but I'm just going to go in with a little bit of this. Like I say, I am actually using lashes today, which should be fun. I haven't done lashes in a very long time, so we can all have a jolly good laugh at how awful I am at those in a moment. But do your research, find one that works for you. It's all very well me recommending one, but you might not like the way that it looks. I mean, for all of this, for literally every single product here, you might be like, oh, I don't like that, which is fine. It's not your wedding day, it's mine. Pretend wedding day. So for eyelashes, again, I feel like it's really personal. On my actual wedding day, I got eyelash, like semi-permanent eyelash extensions. I hated the way that they looked. I'd never had them done before. I got them done the day before my wedding. Would not recommend that. Always get a trial. If I had gotten a trial of those lashes, I don't think I would have got them on my wedding day. They were fine. They looked fine, but I like more. I like a really dramatic lash, and because I don't know, I just didn't really like the style of them. I don't think they really suited me, and then I didn't really love the way that my eye look turned out on my wedding day, because I didn't like the way that the lashes looked. So I'm going in with fake lashes, and I already know that I like the way that these look. These I just got on Amazon. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name. They were very, very cheap. They're just like a little half lash, so I really, really like the way that these look. Again, I'm not going to be able to talk whilst I do this, so I'm just going to glue these up, pop them on, and then I will zoom you in and show you the finished eye look before we move on to the base. If you haven't already, I highly recommend getting yourself a beverage. If you haven't noticed, this is going to be a very long video. They are still drying down a little bit, but that is the upper eyes done. Obviously we're going to do something very smoky on the under eyes, but I'm going to do the base first. But let me just zoom you in so that you can see the incredible glitter. You can see the finished look a little bit closer up. So we've got glitter, we've got a wing, we've got really like fluttery dramatic lashes. This just screams bridal to me. I absolutely love it. So what I might do is just do the base, and then when we come to do the under eyes, I might add a little bit more darkness on that outer corner. We'll see how I feel. I feel like once you get your like lashes and liner and everything else on, I feel like sometimes you need a little bit more depth on the outer corner. So we'll see how I feel once everything else is done. But this is how it's looking all close up. I absolutely love that glitter. We all know how obsessed I am. So that's how that's looking. Let's start on the base. So the most important thing when you're doing your base makeup is your skincare. Like, please start your skincare routine like 6 months to a year out. Your skincare is so important. I have not been prioritising my skincare routine, hence the spots and the redness. But you can only paint over so much. So if your skin isn't doing too good, your makeup is also going to reflect that. There's no like miracle products that's going to cover over things like this. But I'm going to do the best that I can. The primer that I'm using is the Revolution CC Swirl Colour Correcting Primer. I bought a few new primers recently, and with the intention of testing them to see if they would be a wedding primer. For example, the e.l.f. Grippy one. I've also ordered the ordinary Grippy one. I haven't had a chance to try those yet, so currently this is the one that I would use. It is very, very slightly tinted. I don't feel like it really does anything to my skin. I just love the way it feels, and I love the way that my other products, my foundation, etc., I love the way that that always looks whenever I use this primer. So I'm very carefully going around my brows and around my eyes, priming, working this into the skin, and then I'm going to give it 30 seconds to like set in a little bit. I'm also being very careful of my white dress, and obviously depending on what your wedding dress is like, mine was very low cut, so I took my foundation right down my chest so that it was all the same colour. Primer the same. Take your primer wherever you're going to take your foundation, because then it'll just make everything look really, really nice and seamless. Whilst that sets in, I'm going to mix together my foundation. Yeah, I'm doing a whole mix thing, so I'm just going to get a brush so that I can mix this on the back of my hand. I'm taking 1 pump of the Beauty Bay Glow filter. I have this in the lightest shade. Oh, 1 pump of that. Obviously if I had a palette I would use that, but I don't. And then I'm taking 2 pumps of the Sleek In Your Tone foundation. Is that a surprise to anyone? Like, I feel like for me and my off-camera life, this would 100% be the foundation that I would use, but I don't feel like I necessarily use it on camera all that much. It is the perfect colour for me when I don't have any sort of tan on. I have been out in the garden recently, so it might not be exactly perfect today, but we'll make it work. So I'm just going to dot this all over, and I'm going to work in much lighter layers than what I normally do. So I've still got a lot of product on the back of my hand, but I'm just going to dot this all over, and then I'm working this in, of course, with a sponge. And I'm just going to blend all of this out and then add more to see where I need a little bit more coverage, add a little bit more, and just leave it where I don't need any more. The wonderful thing about this foundation, the foundation by itself is a really beautiful like matte finish. I really enjoy like a soft sort of natural matte finish, but this is very much with the Beauty Bay mixed in. It gives it like a glowy natural finish, which is what I absolutely love. Obviously I'm gonna set everywhere, but I want this to look really natural. I would not go as full coverage as what I did for my wedding day. I did feel like it was a bit much. Like looking back on the pictures, I'm like, it was a little bit much, but I'm just going to build this up where I need more and just, like I said, leave it where I don't need any more. And I would always rather mix too much on the back of my hand than not enough, so that it's always going to be like the same consistency, the same finish, no matter how many layers I have to keep on adding. It's also really important, and it feels so strange, but if you're going to have your hair up, if you're going to be able to see your ears, take the foundation onto your ears as well. Like I say, it's the strangest feeling. It really does feel wrong. But you don't want your ears to be like a completely different colour to the rest of your face. It's important. So that was basically all of that product off the back of my hand. I've just sort of kept layering it up where I needed a little bit more, blending it out, only using the sponge, so it never feels like too much, it never feels heavy, it just melts it into the skin really nicely. So for concealer, obviously I used that collection one like around my eyes. Some of that did wipe off, this little bit of it there, but I'm going in with this one. Who saw this coming? The 17 Second Skin Enhancing Concealer. By far the best concealer I've ever tried. I said it. So I'm just tapping a little bit of this under the eyes. I'm also just going to put a little bit under here to sharpen and to lift, and then I'm going to use a brush or I'm going to use a sponge. I think I'm just going to use a sponge. Just bounce this into the skin. I'm also just going to put a little bit of this concealer on the spots that I've got going on at the minute, because I do want them covered. I don't want them to be too in your face. So I'm just putting a little bit on there, trying to not get this concealer in my hair or on my dress. Just bouncing over with the same sponge, but more so just like pressing it in rather than like trying to blend it away. And I feel like I'm happy with how that's looking. It's so like glowy and like natural looking on the skin, as natural as a full face of foundation can look. And then, oh, I just kicked my light, I do apologise. I am going in with cream and then powder, bronzer and blush. to really set those colours in, to really like build up the intensity of the colour. And this is the bronzer that I'm using, the Collection Contour Stick. Now, I use this on my actual wedding day and I'm using it today. This is what I would still use. It's a really nice contoury colour and it blends out so nicely. It's so easy to use. It looks like an actual shadow. All the things. So I'm going to just draw it on where I want the start of this contour to come from, and then I'm blending it out with a Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. And because this is much more of a contour shade, I am sort of keeping it quite far back on the cheeks and not trying to make my face look any more bronzed with this step. I'm just adding in these shadows back in that I've taken away with the foundation. Once I've done that, I'm just blending over it with the sponge, especially over the nose because I feel like I went a little bit heavy there. Let's pretend I didn't. And then for blush, who saw this coming? Literally nobody. The Collection Filter Finish Liquid Blush Light Wand. This is in Peach Pleasure. I cannot stop using this. Every single time I do my makeup and I wear this blush, I'm happy with how my makeup turns out. So it's absolutely a non-negotiable for me for wedding makeup. And I also feel like this colour goes really nicely with like what we've got going on the eyes. And I'm going to blend this out with another Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. Just tap it into the skin. And like I say, this is just my first step for this area. I am going to be going in with powder products as well. So before I go into the powder bronzer and the powder blush, I'm going to set my face. So I'm using a little triangle puff and I'm going in with the Revolution IRL Duo thing, and I'm going in with the loose powder on the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little puff, I'm going to dip into the loose powder and then trying to do this whilst also showing you. I'm tapping it off on the back of my hand so that I don't get too much product, and I'm just really working it into that puff, and then I'm just going to set where I don't want to be shiny. Before you do this step, if you want more concealer, you want more foundation, you want more of those liquid products, put that on first. I'm happy with how this is looking, so I am happy to set it at this stage, but tap it off on the back of your hand so you don't get too much in each go. So I am like pretty much leaving the cheeks clear, so obviously I'm going to be going in with the powder products on that area. I can always go in with a little bit more powder. I don't want to go overboard with my powder, but I don't want everything to be set, so it's a fine balance for me. But I feel like by using a puff, by tapping it off in between each application, I feel like I get a really nice light amount of powder that keeps everything really nice and set, but that doesn't look too dry. So then for powder bronzer, I'm going in with this one, the e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer in Forever Sun-Kissed. I'm just going to use a Real Techniques blush brush. I'm going to start warming up the face. So I'm basically going over where we put that cream contour stick, but this is a lot more warm. This is a bronzer, so I'm sort of going wider than where that cream contour stick was blended out to, like really working it into the hairline as well, because you don't want to see that line, and I'm really blending this right out. Again, bronzer is one of those things that's like, it's a fine line. You don't want to do too much, but you also don't want to do too little. Like photography and lights, and like my venue was like a big glass fronted thing, so there was a lot of light, and I was like, I don't want to look washed out, so I was quite heavy-handed with my bronzer, and I do actually wish that I'd worn more blush and more eyeshadow, which is why I'm like, I might go in with a little bit more eyeshadow at the end once everything else is done. But it's definitely one of those things, like, you just need to keep practicing and see where the line is for you, because I can't tell you where that is, like, for your face. For blush, I've got another Real Techniques blush brush, and I'm going in with this one, the Milani Baked Powder Blush in Luminoso. Again, it's just another one of those products I'm like, I always love how my makeup looks when I wear this, and I feel like this over the top of that liquid blush is a match made in heaven. And because this has that really nice little bit of glow, I feel like it adds a really soft luminosity to the skin that I just love. So again, light layers, but bear in mind that under lights and photography and all that stuff, it will look like you're wearing less, so I'm applying liberally. It's also worth bearing in mind, just, you know, the advice and stuff that I'm giving. When I got married, I was very blonde. When I did this video last year, I was very dark, and now my hair is really red, so we've almost got all possibilities. Obviously, like, a natural redhead would be different. Again, I am not that. I am very much a artificial red rather than like orangey gingery. So all of these things just suit to you, you know? For the next step, I am going to set everything. So I know I've done like mascara and things, but I'm going in with the setting spray, and I'm just going to be quite careful and like try not to smudge the darkness that we've got on the eyes. So this is the e.l.f. Stay All Night Microfine Setting Mist. Again, this is the one that I actually wore on my wedding day and would 100% use the same one. So I'm just going to get my hair out of the way, and I do feel like it's quite risky wearing a bright white dress with hair that you dyed 12 hours ago. Maybe wouldn't do that, but setting spray. I would also highly recommend a hand fan to dry the setting spray, because otherwise you might be here for a while. And also, have I mentioned, it's so hot in my room. So this is really nice, cooling me down. So obviously before you do that setting spray, if you want more bronzer, if you want more of anything, add that before. You can add it after. I would just add another layer of setting spray. I am so happy with how the skin is looking. It's so glowy and juicy and luminous looking. I am thrilled. So I do have a highlight, but I'm going to finish up under the eyes first. I'm going to go in with, where's the brush gone? This brush, and I can't even remember what shades I used. Did I use Maple? I'm asking you like you can answer me. I'm going to just dip into Maple. I like the look of that one with this big fluffy brush, and I'm going to really smoke out under the lower lash line, and I'm like joining this up with the outer corner, like the colour that we've got on the outer corner, and really smoking that out quite a bit underneath the eye. And then I'm just going to use the same brush and dip right onto the end of that brush into Cocoa, that darker brown, and I'm going to keep that more on the outer corner but also blend that out. I've decided I do want a little bit more darkness on the lid, so I'm going in with that smaller brush. I've got a hair stuck in my lashes. Whew. Going in with a smaller brush, and I'm just going to darken up really, really lightly. Again, working in light layers. Just add a little bit more darkness onto the outer corner of the crease. I like a really dark smoky eye, what can I say? And that is the eyes done, I do believe. So I'm going to, firstly, a step that I forgot to do on my wedding day was a bright liner on the waterline. I took one, I just forgot to use it. This is the Essence Stay and Play Gel Eyeliner in 03 Silky Nude. And I am going to warm this up on the back of my hand first and then just go into the waterline. Now I just got that nude eyeliner all over my natural lashes on the outer corner, but I am going to put mascara on the lower lashes, so I will just tap over the outer corner of that as well to cover that over. I do want a little bit more mascara on the upper lashes as well while we're here. And I feel like the lower lash line mascara really just finishes that off so nicely. And I'm gonna do the highlight now before I move on to the lipstick, because then we'll be done. I've been filming for nearly 2 hours and I'm so hot. So, highlight. It's got to be this one. This is the one that I wore on my wedding day. This is by far my favourite highlight. The Revolution Highlighter Reloaded in just my type. If you are incredibly fair, like I am, you want something that really sits nicely on your skin tone, that doesn't look glittery, but that looks like out of this world glowy, this is the one that you need. Obviously you can use like a liquid highlight. I'm forgetting my words, that's how hot it is in here. Obviously you can use like a liquid, but for me you just cannot beat that. I just love it. And I'm being really precise with it, but blending it out. You don't want there to be a stripe, you want it to like melt really nicely into all of the other products. Obviously the blush is glowy, but I've got to have more. I'm also going to put some down the centre of my nose and across my cupid's bow. And I'm also taking a little eyeshadow brush. Obviously you could use one of the eyeshadows from the palette, but I like the look of having the same highlight on the face and on the inner corner, so just tapping that highlight onto the inner corner, and I feel like that goes really nicely with the tones of the eyeshadow anyway. And just whatever I've got left on the brush, just going to tap under the brow bone. And again, I'm just going to go in with another little spritz of setting spray. I don't think you can overdo setting spray. So I'm going to put another layer of setting spray on. Go a little bit crazy. And then onto the lips. I'll just let this dry down a little bit. So I'm going in onto the lips with the Essence 8 Hour Comfort Matte Lip Liner in 03 Soft Beige. If you're my sort of skin tone and you want the perfect nude combination, this is it. So this lip liner and then this lipstick. This is the Milani 410 Pleasure lipstick. The perfect nude. And I feel like it's just the perfect nude. It doesn't take anything over, it doesn't look too much with the eyes, like the eyes are very much the focal point. The skin is really natural, and then the lip is just nude. I love it. Let me just sort out my hair and then I will show you the finished look. So I feel like this headband isn't necessarily the vibe. This is very much cream and this is very much white, but you get the general idea. This is probably the sort of thing that I would do with my hair if I were to get married again. I had this like updo thing. I do apologise, I got a new ring light and it's just broken, but we should be okay now. I absolutely love how this has turned out. What was I even saying? Oh, about my hair. Yes, I probably would just do my hair like this. I did a big updo thing and I just felt very done. I think I probably would just do some sort of curls, loose waves and a headband, but a headband that actually matches the colour of my dress. So let me know what you think of this look. Like I say, I'm absolutely thrilled with how this has turned out. It's basically exactly the same look, but just a few different tweaks than what I actually did for my wedding day. So it's definitely worth just like fiddling, trying out different products, and especially for the base, trying different primers with different foundations with different concealers, everything like that. I definitely recommend using a liquid and then a powder for your bronzer and your blush and things like that, because it really locks in the colour. But I just recommend having a play, honestly. If you're doing your own makeup for your own wedding day, you need to be absolutely confident in the products that you're using. These are the ones that I would use, so let me know what you think down below. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're new here, I would love it if you would subscribe. Until next time, thank you ever so much for watching. I'm going to go and stick my head out a window. I'm so hot. Bye.